These are the SoundPEATS Air6 HS, and they cost about a fifth of the price of my Google Pixel Buds. But do they sound better? Let's find out. But first, let's unbox it. SoundPEATS sent me these earbuds for review, and they come in two colors, white and black. Opening it, we see that I have the white version, which kind of has a nice pearlescent coating, but I'll set that aside for now. We also have a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and I thought that was all, but there's some paperwork in the top that I missed. We have the warranty card and manual, obviously, but we also have some stickers. This is different from the usual logo stickers, and instead, these are some fun cartoons of their mascot. So let's talk about the design, and I'm going to talk about the case first, and this is a very similar case style to the AirPods, except if you take the case opening and you lower it a little bit so it opens below the stems. When you open this up, instead of just seeing the top of the earbuds, you see the stems as well. I kind of like this design more. It's a nicer style. You get the earbuds shown like that, so it's kind of showcasing them in a way. But the one problem I've noticed with this is it's sometimes harder to put the earbuds in, because instead of just dropping it into a slot like a lot of other earbuds do, you kind of have to put it like sideways. So if you don't place it on properly, it might not charge, so you've got to make sure you seat that on well. So let's talk about the earbuds now, and these have a semi-in-ear design, so they have no silicone ear tips. This means you have a much more comfortable experience wearing these earphones for a longer period of time. You don't get like the kind of plugged up feeling or the pressure in your ears from having silicone ear tips down in your ear canal. And another plus with this is you have much more awareness in your surroundings because, well, your ears aren't blocked as they would be with full in-ear earbuds. And they're super comfortable to wear for long periods of time. But the problem here is because these are in-ear earbuds, they're just fully plastic. There's no silicone ear tips, so there's no flexibility. And you also cannot swap out those ear tips for smaller sizes. If you have small ears like me, you can't really use in-ear earbuds. And you probably for your entire life had issues choosing earbuds. So these in-ear earbuds, basically any of them, aren't going to be good for that, but that's a tiny portion of the population. This is why I personally prefer full in-ear. But the problem there is it is a little bit more uncomfortable to have those all the way in your ears, and it's still not perfect. And I choose the Pixel Buds because they're the smallest earbuds that I can find, and they have that flexible mechanism that kind of works for my ears really well. But enough about that. Let's talk about some features now. I'm going to talk about some technical specs before I actually get into using it, so if this bores you, I'm sorry for that. But these do have a 13mm driver in each of the earbuds, and it also has Bluetooth 6.0, which means this connection is more stable and you have lower latency. And I'd say this is kind of my main concern when getting more affordable earbuds is how well it connects and how stable that connection is as well. And then latency as well. And obviously sound quality, I think where they usually fail is with the Bluetooth connection. And I've had no issues so far with Bluetooth connection in terms of latency. It connects very seamlessly. It has dual connection, which I'm going to get into further on. And these are IPX5 rated. And if you're not familiar with IP ratings, it stands for ingress protection. And the first number is for the solid ingress protection. And the second one is for liquids or water. The X in this case means that it wasn't tested for solid ingress. I'll have a guide up here for what all the different numbers mean. And the 5 here means that these are protected against high pressure jets of water. So you're covered for like sweat, rain. You probably, hold it under a tap for a little bit. I wouldn't suggest, washing your earbuds or dunking them in water. These probably will not survive dunking them in water. Basically going to handle everything you throw at it, sweat, water, splashes, you're covered. And something I found interesting actually is this has a higher water ingress protection rating than the AirPods 4, the Galaxy Buds 4, and the Pixel Buds Pro 2, which all have IP54 ratings, which means their water protection is lower than these earbuds, which is crazy if you consider the prices. But one thing these do lack is ANC, and this is actually by design. Because they have these semi-in-ear design, you don't have the same seal that you get with silicone ear tips in full in-ear earbuds, or the seal you get with over-ear, obviously. So even if they try to implement ANC, it wouldn't be as good as with full in-ear or other full-on headphones. So they kind of, instead of trying to have suboptimal ANC, they decided to kind of shift their focus away from that and instead to improve sound quality and also battery life, and also, well, keep this amazing price. And another thing they're missing is they don't have any in-ear detection. So if you pull the earbuds out of your ear, they don't pause the music, which is kind of a bummer, honestly, because I've gotten super used to it. So I have my Google Pixel Buds Pro 2, I pull them out and it pauses my music, and I have my WH-1000 XM5s that I take off, it pauses the music as well. And honestly, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not a deal breaker in my opinion, but it is kind of something to consider if you're getting these. You want to have the full story, and I'm obviously going to tell you everything about these earbuds. And another feature they have, even though they don't have noise cancellation for audio or music, they have noise cancellation for the microphones, and they have a 4-mic array, and they have this AI noise cancellation, which is supposed to cancel out the noise when you're on phone calls or using the microphone and give you crystal clear, crisper audio. And I will put that to the test, so just stay tuned for that. Okay, so I've gone over a bunch of features that these earbuds have, but that's not all actually. There's also an app that you can get, and this is the SoundPEATS app. And I'm going to tell you what this app does. And firstly, we have what I think is probably one of the best features of these earbuds, and that's LDAC. And if you're not familiar with what LDAC is, it's a high-res Bluetooth codec, which I'll get into further. But you can enable that through the app. You can also watch the battery levels of the earbuds and also of the case itself. You can enable spatial audio, which gives you a more immersive sound stage, and it kind of adjusts the audio based on how your head is positioned. And you have gesture customization. So these have gestures on each of the earbuds, and there's no swipe gestures, so you can't swipe up or down for volume and left or right for anything. It's all just tap based. And you've got single tap, which is to put the volume up or down. You've got double tap, which is to pause or play the music. You have triple tap, which is to enable your voice assistant, and in my case, it's Google Assistant or Gemini. And you have a long press, which takes you to the previous track or the next track. And the great thing is, in the app, you can customize all of these gestures, and you can do it per earbud. So even though you have your double press, which pauses in each earbud, you can change that to something else if you want to only pause in this, and if you want to do something else in the left one. You also have an equalizer, of course, for your audio, for your listening needs. There's a bunch of various presets. There's also an adaptive EQ, and also you can set your own EQ as you deem appropriate. Personally, I always keep just the flat normal EQ, whatever is the default, because I don't know, I never really had a need to adjust it. It is nice though if let's say you do want a bit more bass, or you find the earbuds or whatever to be lacking in a certain range, you can adjust that as you need. So it's always great to have, even if you don't use it. And these do have the dual device connection that I mentioned earlier. You can select what devices you want to connect to within the app, and basically, if you're listening to something on your phone and you pause that and you move over to a computer, let's say you're connected to that as well, and you start listening to something or doing something there, it'll switch to there, and it is super seamless. And it's obviously not going to be perfect. It's not going to be instantaneous, but really you're not going to be waiting for over a second for it to switch over. They also have the ability to eject water. So let's say you do get water in the speaker and it affects the sound, you can use this feature and it plays noise of a certain frequency to kind of eject that water out. And another thing you can do is find the earbuds. So you can both look at the last location of the earbuds, and you can also play a sound through each one of the earbuds to locate them separately. Now let's talk about LDAC, and you may or may not be familiar with it, but it's a high bitrate Bluetooth codec, which I believe goes up to 990 kilobits per second. Well, one thing about this is it's only on Android, so sorry iPhone users, but essentially it's a high resolution Bluetooth codec, so you get great audio through it. And these are actually high-res audio certified. They have a certification, and they're certified by Sony, which if you're familiar with Sony, they make pretty good audio devices, so that's kind of impressive. But when you do have LDAC enabled, you lose some features, and there's a spatial audio, which you're not able to use with LDAC, and also the dual device connection. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then you also do get less battery life with LDAC. I'll get more into battery life later, but it's slightly worse with LDAC. So if you do want to maximize battery life, it's great to just leave that disabled and use the regular codec. And the regular codec still sounds amazing, but with LDAC, you actually get a little bit better audio quality, and it's not just on paper. I actually did notice a difference, and I think these do sound just a little bit better than my Google Pixel Buds Pro 2, which is kind of insane because these cost $40 where those cost $220 USD, that is. It is hard to demonstrate audio quality, but the sound quality is great, and unfortunately, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But it sounds great. I've had no issues with sound quality. I've listened to my music and enjoyed it, as you should. And I think the sound quality is actually comparable to more expensive earbuds. Like I said, it sounds as good or even better than my Google Pixel Buds. And no, this doesn't feel like it should cost 40 USD. It's well worth the money in my opinion. So the music sounds great, but you're also maybe gonna call with this as well. So how does the mic audio sound? Well, it's nothing to really write home about, but that's just Bluetooth audio in general. The microphones never really sound great, but the AI noise cancellation is what really sets this apart. So let's see it in action. This is a quick audio test of the SoundPEATS Air6 HS microphone in a room with no noise. This is a quick audio test of the SoundPEATS Air6 HS microphone in a room with minimal noise. This is another audio test of the SoundPEATS Air6 HS in a room with a lot of noise, and I'm very close to the noise source in this case. The earbuds do really cancel out the noise, but at this higher level of noise, you do kind of lose a little bit of clarity and the words become a little less audible. But at lower levels of noise, it performs great. And now, I said I would talk about battery life. I've been a little bit too busy, so I haven't been able to fully test out the battery life. But on paper, this has 9 hours of battery life with a regular codec, 5 hours of battery life with LDAC. So that is something to consider if you really want to extend the battery life. And then the case has 45 hours of extra battery life, so you get 54 total, assuming you're using the regular codec. And a 10-minute charge gives you 3 hours of listening. That's crazy. You know, let's say you're using this at work. You could, on your lunch break, put these in the case to charge, take a bathroom break or whatever. By the time you're back, you've got like enough for the rest of your shift. So that's amazing. All in all, here's what I think. These are a great set of affordable earbuds, and like I said, they cost 40 USD, and they offer similar or better sound quality than earbuds that cost 3 to 5 times the price. So they're worth well over what they cost. The high-res audio makes it great for Android users who want high-quality audio, and the long battery life makes it great for people who are going to be, on calls or listening to music like 6 to 10 hours a day. And it does this all without breaking the bank. I highly recommend them if you're used to or like this style of earbuds. If you have small ears like me, or you just need silicone ear tips for some reason, then these aren't the earbuds for you. SoundPEATS do have the Air 5 Pro, which have a full in-ear design with silicone ear tips, so I'm excited for the Air 6 Pro when they release them. These earbuds are also not for you if you do require ANC for commuting, traveling, or just always in loud environments. If you do want to get them, I'll have a link in the description to purchase these, and I'll have a discount code on the screen for 10% off, even though these are already super affordable. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more similar content if you did, and I think that's all. See you next time.